The Miami Trust Fund tangle. The sultry Miami air at our oceanfront estate on that sweltering August evening carried the salty tang of the Atlantic and the sour sting of a plundered legacy. A scent that clung to the sleek yacht moored at the private dock like a lien slapped on a stolen fortune, to the partygoers cruising past on Biscayne Bay, their laughter echoing over the waves. It might have been just the briny breeze of a tropical night, but I, Clara Vega, perched on a cushioned deck chair under the flickering glow of tiki torches, felt dread coil in my gut like a defaulted bond, a mother's instinct sharpened by years of watching my daughter Mia, now 26, navigate the treacherous waters of her marriage to Felix Navarro, a man whose polished charm and gold Rolex had screamed trouble from the moment she brought him to our modest Coral Gables condo 6 years ago. His slick promises of wealth glinting like a baited hook, Mia glided across the estate's manicured lawn like a fading starlet in a Miami Vice rerun, her dark hair catching the torchlight as she refilled Felix's spiced rum cocktail and his mother Sylvia's. Her forced smile at their boasts of trust fund millions too fragile, too desperate, a smile that tore at my heart. It was the expression of someone teetering on the edge of a financial abyss, begging for acceptance from sharks who dangled approval like a predatory loan. The estate, with its white marble floors polished to a mirror shine, floor-to-ceiling glass walls framing the Miami skyline's neon pulse, and a private dock where the yacht bobbed under a crescent moon, screamed inherited opulence, a monument to old money grandeur. But it masked a trust fund gutted by years of systematic embezzlement, its palm-lined lawn and hibiscus hedges as hollow as their promises of generational security. I only came here for Mia, who'd called each visit, her brown eyes pleading over FaceTime with a hope that twisted my insides like a knot in a fishing line. Mom, please come, they cherish family ties. It's crucial, but I knew it was her lifeline. She clung to the dream of a secure inheritance, a vision rooted in her childhood when she'd count her birthday cash in our cramped condo, sketching plans for a forever home by the sea with crayons and a dreamer's heart. Staring at Sylvia's cunning smirk, her platinum hair swept into a chignon that gleamed like a hedge fund's polished prospectus, and Felix's predatory gray eyes, always scanning like a broker chasing a commission on a bad deal. I saw a gilded facade over a scam's festering rot, a house of cards built on forged documents and siphoned accounts. Sylvia and Felix had been sipping mojitos all evening, their jet-set charm curdling into sly, venomous jabs about dodging IRS audits and outsmarting trustees, their gestures expansive and performative, exuding the untouchable arrogance of trust fund tycoons who'd plundered every cent they oversaw. Why's our heiress so shaky over a little market blip? Sylvia purred, her voice smooth as velvet but sharp as a switchblade, eyeing Mia in her flowing silk dress, trust fund scandals trending on X as assets vanished into offshore accounts. Our legacy's drained, Mia quavered, her voice breaking like a wave crashing on a coral reef, her fingers twisting the gold bracelet Felix had gifted her, a trinket I suspected was bought with her own stolen inheritance. Drained? Felix sneered, mimicking his mother's tone with a grin that sent a chill through the humid air, his teeth glinting like coins in a rigged deal. We grew fortunes through market crashes, you Gen Z's panic over a single dip in the Dow. A humid terror gripped me, heavier than the Miami heat pressing against my skin. Their words landing like a margin call on a leveraged dream, laced with a menace that felt personal, targeted. Back off, I said, my voice slicing through the dock's torchlit glow, feeling like an outsider in this lavish sprawl, a regulator stepping into a yacht club full of crooks. Felix shot me a glare, his contempt for outsiders flashing like a warning light. Chill, Mom. It's just trust fund banter, right, babe? He winked at Mia, who nodded hastily, her lips trembling as she forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Yeah, Mom, it's okay. But it wasn't okay. I caught the glance they exchanged, vulture-like, scheming, like con artists sizing up their next mark. Let's stress test her loyalty, Sylvia declared, rising from her wicker chair, her shadow looming over the dock like a foreclosure notice on a family legacy. Felix, back me up. Time to see if she sinks or swims. No! I surged to my feet, my heart pounding like a storm surge battering the coast. Sylvia, stop this. You're nothing but thieves. They ignored me, seizing Mia's arms with a force that made her gasp, her shaky laugh fracturing into raw panic. Guys, this isn't funny. But she didn't resist hard. She never did, always craving their approval, hoping to secure her place in their glittering empire. They dragged her across the dew-soaked lawn, past the hibiscus hedges to the dock's edge, where the yacht's wake lapped against the weathered pilings, the water glinting under the moonlight. I chased after, my heels slipping on the slick grass, my voice hoarse with desperation. "You're terrifying her, let her go!" At the dock, the dark water churned, deep and unforgiving, a liquid trap as treacherous as their plundered trust fund. "Prove your stake in the family, heiress," Felix hissed, his grip tightening as Mia's eyes widened in terror, her breath coming in short, panicked gasps. "Please, no." Her voice cracked, raw dread shattering the poised compliance she'd worn like a mask for years. I lunged for Felix, my fingers grazing the linen of his designer shirt, but he shoved me back with a force that sent my knees crashing onto the wooden planks, pain shooting through my legs. They pushed. Mia vanished with a splash, the water swallowing her like a bad investment, bubbles rising briefly before fading into an eerie silence. They erupted into laughter, clinking glasses like they'd closed a shady deal. "That's a liquidity lesson," Sylvia cackled, her voice sharp as a con's pitch. But Mia didn't surface, and I stared at the ripples spreading across the dark water, horror freezing me like a market crash. Then a faint choking gasp, her head bobbed up, face ashen, blood streaming from her temple where she'd struck the dock's piling, her eyes glassy and unfocused, her hands flailing weakly before she sank again, the waves closing over her like a final audit. I screamed, a primal wail that tore through the Miami night, shattering the estate's illusion of wealth. "Help! She's hurt! She hit the piling!" Felix and Sylvia lounged by the bar, smirking like brokers who'd shorted a failing stock. "Drama queen," Felix scoffed, swirling his drink. "She can swim, no need for hysterics." "She's fine," Sylvia added, sauntering toward their Bentley parked in the circular driveway, its chrome gleaming under the estate's floodlights. "Just a splash to build character." I shouted after them, my voice cracking with desperation. "Come back! She's dying!" The engine purred to life, Felix leaning out the window with a grin sharp as a loan shark's terms. "Home soon, Mom. Don't make a scene," tires screeching as they sped off, leaving me alone with the lapping waves and my daughter's fading life. Panic surged like a tidal wave, then crystallized into a mother's unyielding resolve to protect her child. I heard a jet ski's roar nearby, a thrill-seeker on the bay, and waved frantically, my arms aching, pointing to the water, my voice raw. "She's drowning, please help." The rider, a young man in his 20s, gunned his engine, skidded to the dock, and dove in, his silhouette slicing through the water as he searched the depths. Minutes stretched like hours, my breath hitching. But he surfaced, dragging Mia's sodden, limp body onto the dock, his hands steady as he started CPR, water spilling from her mouth. I dialed 911, my voice trembling but clear, rattling off the address. Oceanfront estate on Star Island, daughter pushed into water, head injury, drowning. Sirens wailed, paramedics swarmed, their voices clipped. "Pulse weak, hypothermia, head trauma, move." They loaded her onto a stretcher, oxygen mask over her pale face, and I climbed into the ambulance, clutching her cold hand, memories flooding. Mia at 7, saving her birthday cash for a beach house, her giggles filling our condo. At 17, interning at a wealth management firm, her ambition brighter than the Miami sun. At her wedding, her eyes starry as she vowed "I do" to Felix, a man I'd distrusted but stayed silent for, not wanting to dim her joy. I'd ignored the red flags, Felix's shady offshore accounts, Sylvia's too smooth assurances, but no more silence. I vowed as the ambulance sped toward Jackson Memorial, the sirens wail a call to action. In the rig, I dialed my sister Rosa, a former trust attorney blacklisted for exposing a Miami fraud ring a decade ago. Her relentless pursuit of truth costing her career and our closeness when I'd called her tactics reckless. We'd clashed, but now I needed her fire. "Rosa, it's Clara," I said, voice low over the ambulance's hum. "What's wrong?" Her tone sharp, sensing crisis. "They're heading home. Dig deep." I hung up, a mother's call setting justice in motion. At the hospital, Felix texted, "Babe?" Hysteria, clinic nonsense. "She's alive, barely. Stay away," I replied. Orchids arrived, their card taunting. "Mom's tantrum won't sink our portfolio." "Trash them, she's allergic," I told the nurse, a lie as fitting as their deceit. I paced the ICU's sterile halls, machines beeping Mia's fragile rhythm. The doctor emerged. "Stable but serious. Concussion, water in lungs." Mia stirred, whispering, "He call?" "Yes, called me hysterical." A tear slid down her cheek, her silence a verdict. Rosa called, "Sylvia's co-trustee drowned."